Welcome to Stories with Soul. I am your host, Jamie Ice, musician turned entrepreneur and co-founder of 6th Ave Homes and 6th Ave Storytelling. Over the past 10 years, I have launched multiple successful businesses and have become obsessed with all things entrepreneurship and marketing. I've been on a personal quest to unpack what it takes to make and grow a great brand. One thing that I've discovered is that stories are powerful and that storytelling has the power to set a brand apart. Join me as I dive into the stories of the heavy-hitting leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and business owners in our community to hear their biggest wins, greatest losses, and their best business secrets. There's a story behind every great brand. Welcome to Stories with Soul. Stories with Soul is brought to you by my company, 6th Ave Storytelling. In 2020, we launched a marketing company on a mission to encourage entrepreneurship and make starting and growing a small business easier than ever before. Since then, we have helped hundreds of small businesses and entrepreneurs grow their brands by giving them the tools, resources, strategy, and support they need to craft and share their stories. If you are thinking about launching and growing your own brand, schedule a meetup with me today. I would love to talk to you. Head over to 6thAveStorytelling.com and let me show you how the storytelling approach can transform your marketing strategy. This episode is sponsored in part by Pre-Kindle, the platform designed to empower event creators to develop the best experiences possible for their communities. Did you know that Pre-Kindle was actually founded in DFW and is still headquarters in Dallas? Well, now you do. We love local businesses, and Pre-Kindle is one of the best. With a best-in-class platform of features, no long-term contracts, low service fees, responsive mobile-friendly event pages, and friendly and attentive support, Pre-Kindle is my personal favorite ticketing and marketing platform for any event. Anytime I'm planning something with my band, Green River Ordinance, Pre-Kindle is our go-to platform to use. With an impressive roster of event creators, venues, and entertainment destinations across the nation, Pre-Kindle is hands down the best. In DFW alone, they've partnered with incredible spaces like the Granada Theater, Panther Island Pavilion, the Kessler, Will Rogers Coliseum, the Fort Worth Modern, Tulips, Risley Theater, and more. If you have been to an event or venue in DFW, I promise you have likely been using Pre-Kindle and you didn't even know it. Beyond ticketing, Pre-Kindle also helps automatically promote your event. With over 500,000 subscribers in North Texas and partnerships with event discovery sites like Bands in Town, Spotify, Google, they're set up to also help you spread the word. So go to prekindle.com, that's PREKINDLE.com, and click Get Started to begin using the platform. They are on a mission to bring your event to life. Welcome to Stories with Soul. I am your host, Jamie Ice. Today, I have a guest I'm super excited about. My friend, Sarah Castillo. She is a serial entrepreneur, and I would say one of the most fun and adventurous just faces in Fort Worth hospitality. You have changed the game, and I think just put some fun into the world of restaurants and hospitality and all the things. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. But she is a Fort Worth native, right? Mm-hmm. Born and raised. Yep. And the founder of Taco Heads, which currently has two locations. The founder of Sidesaddle Saloon, the founder of Tinies on South Main, and has some crazy cool stuff in the works, which we're gonna talk about. Her concepts have been featured on Texas Monthly like numerous times. It was on Texas Monthly's list of top 10 tacos to eat before you die. One of the best dishes of 2020, which was a Teenie's.
Top restaurants to eat.
In 2022.
Yeah.
But I also read that your carrot dish at Teenie's was like the top.
Oh, yes.
One of the best dishes to try in like all of all in the entire state. This is what this was featured.
Yes.
They have won like best tacos, best margarita, and literally like every publication in the city. So I am stoked to have you. The other thing that I wrote down and where I kind of want to like start out is you have I wrote this phrase, you have been making me laugh since the year 2000. we go way back to like my freshman year of.
That's whenever we used to molest you as a young man.
To unpack. We'll have to add some context to that statement. But anyways, I'm so glad you're here. I've been wanting to when I first did this, I was like, I would love to sit down with Sarah. I know we've known each other since 2000.
Yes.
Was it 2000?
High school.
Before that, did you go to McLean?
No, I went to Daggett.
You went to Daggett. Okay. So it was Pascagoula. So you're a year old. You're a year older than me.
Yes.
And
my friends were in your class and would like, that's when they started like molesting you as a young man. Which we still talk about all the time.
They would, yeah, it was fun getting the attention of some the older cool girls, but always like making me blush. Molesting is probably a strong
I don't know.
word.
I'm sure they caressed your hair every once in a while.
My hair, it wasn't as big back then.
Well, like your scalp, you still had cool like California hair.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think so. Maybe
so. But one of my favorite things about you then, 20-something years ago, which that's freaking crazy. We're old.
Oh my gosh.
Then and now is like your sense of humor. Like you have just a little bit of like, even what you just said.
I have no filter, which is bad.
You have no filter and like just an irreverence, so to speak.
Yes. Well, I was a class clown my senior year.
Were you?
Yes.
I believe that.
That was that.
So you just have like this, you like will look into someone's eyes and souls and kind of with a straight face say just like slightly ridiculous, inappropriate things.
Yeah.
And people
oh
are like,
my God.
is she kidding? Is she serious? This
No,
is funny. I don't know how to feel right now.
Yeah. It's so serious. It's so bad. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I need to like not do that, but I can't help it.
Were you like as a kid, were you like getting in trouble and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I was the middle child, so I think that was where my sense of humor had to like kind of excel, be in front of my other siblings. But and my family is just really funny family, and that's what we do when we get together. It's like who can tell the funniest jokes, who can be like, oh, that was the best story,
Out funny each other,
and
yeah.
But yeah, we at all costs like, and it's not harmful. It's just like legit funny stuff. And
yeah.
I mean, even like my uncles, like, I mean, we were on the kitchen table and we're like crying laughing. And so that's just, I mean, this is cheesy to say, but I love laughing. And I love like where your stomach hurts so bad and you're just like, oh my gosh, like stop. I can't breathe. And that's kind of like how I like to live.
Do life.
Yeah.
And I think part of the success of your restaurants and concepts and bars, what do we call that? It's like hospitality. Is hospitality the right word?
Hospitality, yeah.
Is this playful kind of cheekiness. Like you have taken that, which is like, you're very like authentic to who you are. I am that, you know, as long as I can remember, you've been making me laugh. But you've put that, even like the name Taco Heads is kind of like.
Well, I mean, it's so playful and youthful, but it's just like, I mean, we're tacos and margaritas. Like, that's fun. So, like, who doesn't want to eat tacos and margaritas?
But you've got to bring that into everything you do. And I feel like that's one of the cool things about your concepts is like there's this
fun vibe.
Do you feel like you were like, when you sort of ventured out on your own and got to pave your own destiny, so to speak, was that like a freeing thing? I get to like
kind of create and yeah, and so a lot of it's when I thought whenever I moved back home after all my traveling in college and stuff, I thought I was coming back to Austin, and I just saw the change that was happening in Fort Worth, and it was slowly happening, and mainly in the culinary scene, and I just wanted to be a part of it and kind of help shape it because at the time I was just seeing a ton of Dallas restaurants coming in Fort Worth, and it pissed me off, honestly, because it was just like, you know, I went to school in Austin where these are all Austin-based restaurants.
Yeah.
And Fort Worth was just getting all these Dallas restaurants, and it was annoying. And my sisters live in Dallas, and so anytime they come in town, they're like, well, what's the new restaurant to go to? And I would list off some ones like, oh, this is new. She's like, we have that in Dallas. We have that in Dallas. And then that's whenever I was like, what the hell? Like, this is so frustrating. Like, we need like our own Fort Worth restaurants. That is beyond barbecue and steak restaurants.
Were you always passionate about food? Like, was that like, what'd you study? When you went to school? Like, what'd you study?
American Studies.
What does that mean?
In a minor in business.
Is that history?
So,
what does American Studies mean?
So it's I changed my major several times.
Okay.
And I realized like I went to go visit my best friend in Aspen, Colorado, my spring break, my senior year. And my parents already told me like, you need to graduate on time. So I had that back in my head. And then, so I graduated on time-ish.
Okay. Okay.
And then my senior, or I guess, yeah. So then I decided I wanted to move to Aspen after college.
This episode of Stories with Soul is sponsored in part by Project 202, the leader in experience-driven software strategy, design, and development. Whether you're looking to build a new software solution, redesign your mobile app, or kick off a digital transformation initiative, Project 202's customized approach creates solutions that work for your customers. Customer experience drives engagement, and cultivating that experience requires a ton of attention and time. Project 202 is local and has 18 years of design leadership. This team is an expert in using customer-centric methods to build compelling, data-driven customer experiences. Wherever you're at in your business journey, the diverse team at Project 202 will guide you from idea to execution. Go to project202.com. That's PROJEKT 202.com and click contact to begin winning the hearts of your customers and exceeding your business goals today. Are you a small business owner or an entrepreneur? Do you do marketing for a small business? If so, I have something that I want to give you, and it's totally for free. We've put together a free resource at 6appstorytelling.com/download, and it's the secrets, it's the tips, it's the tricks, it's the tools of the trade. It's literally everything we do at 6app Storytelling to help small businesses grow. Go download it today at 6appstorytelling.com/download.
So,
Which is a fun place to want to live.
Yeah. And I mean, me being a like Southside Hispanic girl, like I never went skiing in like ski towns. And
you had never gone skiing?
No.
Okay.
Never. So it was a big change for me. And I was like, oh my gosh.
So you went to visit and you were like, I want to move here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because it's beautiful. And it was like party town for all my friends that were living there. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I mean, I had so much fun. And it's kind of bougie. Aspen's about like
it's bougie for the visitors, but all the locals are like real down to earth and real fun. And I mean, when I lived there one time, I went and gave I worked at a ski shop and I went and gave one of the guys a hug, like in the ski shop area where all the guys were like buffing the skis and all that stuff. Yeah. And this one guy, I gave a hug, and he's like, "You smell like Barney." And Barney is from Mississippi and always smells like whiskey and burritos. And I was like, well, I need to like reevaluate what I'm doing here. So, yeah.
So you moved there?
So I moved there after college.
With a plan, or just I want to be in the mountains? And
my best friend that was there already, she kind of lined me up a job. Yeah. And so I worked at a ski shop there at the base of the mountain.
So I'm studying American Studies.
Yeah, I had no plan.
No plan. Okay, so there was no like I'm gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna figure it out because I wasn't. I mean, like I knew I had been passionate about something. I didn't know what that was.
Mm-hmm. And you played golf
my freshman year at UT Pan Am. Okay. So I transferred from UT Pan Am to UT Austin.
And you had a golf scholarship.
It was like very minor. Okay, like it was just.
I didn't even know you played golf until I read somewhere last night in my Googling.
And I was terrible. I mean, for like, my dad wanted me to walk on at UT in Austin, and there was no way. I was like, I mean, I'm decent, I'm good, but not like.
So there wasn't like ambitions of doing golf, and it was.
No, I joined a sorority and partied.
Okay. Yeah. So there was no like master plan. You were like, I know I need to do something.
No.
I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah. So I can't remember who told it to me, but she's like, you need to move out of Texas because it's always going to pull you back home. So that's whenever, I honestly cannot remember who told me that. But so I moved out of Texas and bounced around. So Colorado, New York, Spain, and then finally came home.
And when you came home, what were you doing?
Well, I had like negative $25 in my bank account.
Negative 25.
Because I had all of our euros in my back pocket and they fell out of my jeans, and it was me and my sister. Then we were in Ireland and didn't have any.
So you traveled around Europe?
Yeah. Just on the way back, a layover. So I wouldn't say travel around everywhere. But yeah, so I came back with negative $25. And my sister and I started waiting tables at Eddie V's. Okay. Whenever they we were part of the opening team, and then I also had a job.
Which Eddie V's was like is that a Dallas or Austin concept?
Austin, yeah. So then I also worked for the Boys and Girls Club for a little bit, while working at AVs. I'm a 2-job kind of girl.
Okay. You can multitask and handle a lot.
Yes.
You're like, I need this.
I need to be
busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I actually got a job at the Texas Rangers, being events and operations coordinator assistant. So I worked there 9 to 5, and then haul ass to Fort Worth.
So you're doing like coordinating events for the Rangers?
Yeah. So whatever all those events that they had, hiring, like it was operations, all this. I was just their assistant. So
yeah. Did you like that type of stuff? Like the logistics and
sitting in an office? No, absolutely not. I mean, it was fun. I mean, like doing some things.
Did you like doing tables, like waiting tables?
I did like waiting tables, and I was really good at it.
And like schmoozing people and taking care of them, and
yeah. And I guess there was
schmoozing is probably not the right word. But,
no, it is schmoozing. I mean, you got to make them obviously feel at home. Like hey, this is welcome to my house. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take you on this experience.
Yeah,
get ready. Okay. And here we go. Especially with Eddie V's, and that was probably one of the best restaurants coming into Fort Worth at the time.
It was like one of the nicest. It was an elevated experience.
Elevated, culinary driven. So we were very excited about it. And so here I am driving in my mom's minivan that the driver's seat didn't open.
So negative $25.
Negative $25.
Get the mom's
minivan, her minivan that she just had as a work van that she would just carry stuff in. The driver's seat didn't open.
So you would go thugh the passenger door?
Yeah, I'd climb through it. No AC.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
I would have my Eddie V's uniform hanging, which if y'all know, it's a white suit with a bow tie, button up, black pants, and all the things. And then we just change in the parking lot at Eddie V's and then just go into work. Mm-hmm. So I would do that. I did that for a year and a half. And then while I was building the trailer.
So, but at what point were you like, I'm going to open up
a taco stand?
Oh yeah, a taco stand and do something in the restaurant space.
So,
or do even my own thing. Even the thought of I'm going to start something.
So I was saving money to move to Austin, and that's what I thought I was going to move back to Austin.
The goal was to get out of Fort Worth.
Yeah, to get back to Austin, and my best friends lived there, and so I was going to move back to Austin. But one day, one of the customers that would come, the regular customers that would come on, they invited me and manager and another server to go play golf at Mira Vista. And we're like, hey, sweet. Yeah, we'll play at a private course. So we were excited. And that night, I told the guys, I was like, hey, I'm going to make breakfast tacos for everyone. So we'll have breakfast tacos in the morning. Then we can play and drink and have fun. And so that night, I had a dream that I had a food trailer. And a taco truck. And so I told my mom about the dream. And
like a vivid dream.
A vivid dream, okay. Yeah. And I told my mom about the dream, and we kept on talking about it just randomly when I see her. And because I was living at home at the time. Obviously, negative $25 in my bank account.
Negative $25. Living at home with the minivan.
In the minivan, just trying to save my money. My parents were awesome. But so then, and this was probably like a few months being home, obviously. And then I kept on talking about it and just kind of seeing like what was happening in Fort Worth, and like 7th Street was just starting to get developed. And we would go out and there's no late night food, which I'm used to in New York and actually in Aspen too. They have this like popcorn wagon. Spain, there's food all the time. So there was only Whataburger in Old South. Yeah. So putting all those together, I was just like, I think I really want to do this. Like, I want to put one over off 7th Street. Like, so to the left, I guess if you're 7th Haven, Pogue Mahones, like that side of the street was like the hopping part of 7th Street back in the day. Yeah. So I asked all those guys and see if like I could put my trailer there. They said yes. And so then I started.
So to go back a little bit, like were the breakfast tacos really good? Were like your golf? Was everybody was everybody like, these are great, you should make these?
Yeah.
And was that when you like, this is my niche? Is these?
And not necessarily they were amazing. It was just like the idea was good. Okay. And then the salsa and all that stuff was perfected later on. But and your mom was like, Chase, you should do that. Yeah. So my mom is she's a very entrepreneur spirit, creative. I mean, she went back to school at age 55 at TCU interior design. Like she's amazing.
Oh, really? That's cool.
My dad is Lockheed worker union. So he was like, you need to apply at Lockheed. And I'm like,
don't put me in that box.
like, that's really not my personality. That's not me. As much as I love and respect my dad, and obviously he put his kids through college and like supported all of us. So
it's like that gives you like the safety net and the stability to go do those things. Like my dad had the, very regimented job and stuff, but that stability kind of was like, you get to go dream a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. And so it let me kind of be that creative side. But so my mom was like, you can do this. And I was like, I think I want to. And so all that money I was saving to move back to Austin, I put it towards building a trailer and started that whole process of building my little wooden, unique
And did you
trailer.
build it yourself?
We had it built, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was tough because I didn't necessarily go through the health department right away.
Necessarily.
And so it needed to be manufactured by a company. So then we took it and started another company to start taking over to manufacture it. That was licensed.
Did you know anything about that world? Like, did you go meet with other food truck people or?
No. So then the health department, they're absolutely amazing. And most people are scared of them. And if you just ask them questions and like, so then I was like, okay, well, like, tell me what I need. And like, so we went through everything and they were, and even now, like I go up there, like renew permits and they all give me hugs and stuff. So I feel like
that's cool.
They watched me like kind of grow into what I am now. And they're just, I cannot rave enough about the health department in Fort Worth because they were so, as an entrepreneur, like they were so supportive and helpful and they're not trying to be an ass. Like they wanted to make sure we do it right. So like there's so many times like there a lot, like they're like saying to hardwire or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, they're just after me. But really it's like, hey, that's really safety. Like you should hardwire that, Sarah. So just things like that. So I cannot rave about the city of Fort Worth.
So you're building this truck.
So build the trailer.
The health department's helping you out a little bit.
Yeah, finally got it all done.
Did you have a name? Like you knew you wanted to do tacos.
So I knew I wanted to do tacos.
Late night was sort of your niche. You're like, no one's doing late night. And
I was like really into Talking Heads at the time.
Okay.
And so.
Oh, interesting. What's your favorite Talking Heads song?
Oh, well, this must be the place, or this must be home. What is that? This must be the place. Uh-huh. So, but yeah, so we were actually polishing wine glasses at Eddie V's in the back, like after service. And we're trying to, like, all my friends are trying to come up with ideas for the taco trailer name. And we finally, and I knew I didn't want anything that had wheels or trailers or anything because I didn't want to stay in a trailer. Like I knew I wanted. So
you already had a bigger sort of vision for it?
Yes, to grow it.
You're dreaming.
Yeah, I just didn't want to stay in this little box.
Yeah.
No one puts baby in the corner.
Yeah. Don't put Sarah in the box. Yeah. It's probably a theme.
Yeah. So then we came up. So the guy's like, oh my gosh, how old? This is so long ago. He's like, what's in your CD player? And I was like, Talking Heads. And he's like, waxing, like polishing his wine glass. And he's like, Taco Heads. And then we all like looked at each other and we're like, yes. So that's how the name came up. Cool. And then we liked the idea because it's like crackheads, potheads, all that stuff too. So you're like, taco.
I like it. So you launched it, you finish it, and now you're like, I gotta. Are you still waiting tables, or did you kind of go all in?
I was still waiting tables for like the second day, because once I got all my inventory, everything I needed to get, I probably had like, I don't know, $200 in my bank account. And so that opening night, like we put it on social media. 360 West did an amazing article about me, and I'm so thankful for everything that they've done for me in my career.
So that was a
big, yeah. So people were following me on Facebook, or Facebook at the time. I don't think there's Instagram. And yeah, so then we launched it, and I was like, okay, here we go. Like this better work because I don't have that much money to like.
And you quit your job?
And I quit my job.
Okay, but so you went for it.
Eddie V's like, they were so supportive, and the GM there like gave me all these documents and stuff of, just food ordering and food cost and whatnot. But
taking that leap is such
it was scary.
A scary thing.
Well, it was funny because like it wasn't that scary for me. I'm just like, it has to work. Mm-hmm. I was more scared opening up taco at Stockyards, like Sidesaddle. And I guess because I'm older and I'm actually thinking about.
There's more to lose now.
Well, yeah, repercussions.
Back then, you're like, I could.
Yeah, I'm like,
much
fuck
to
it.
lose.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever. Like I was just back there. I just like that was just the way my mentality was just like, this is it. Like this has to work. So opening day, we had some switch of locations. I was supposed to be at Pogues, and there was the landlord didn't want us there last minute, and then so we went to Seventh Haven, and Jimmy Moore, who owned Seventh Haven at the time.
I used to love Seventh Haven.
It was the best.
They have like jazz nights and stuff.
Oh, and the rooftop, it was so much fun. So he was like, well, you can park on my parking lot. So parked there and had my generator, and we're rocking and rolling. People started lining up. And a lot of it was family members. Like I remember my cousin, my aunts, obviously my parents. And so we're rocking and rolling, like making tacos, like getting everything out. And then the line just keeps on going. And people I didn't even recognize. And that's weird for Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
that's
oh my gosh.
It's like kind of real when it's like not just your mom and your friends, but it's like strangers.
That's when it hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, we might have something. So this is pretty cool. And then like we were open till 2 a.m. and obviously all the young people were coming and started making breakfast tacos at midnight. And
so breakfast tacos were kind of the niche.
That was the thing. Yeah. So we started around like 10 p.m. We started at midnight, but then people wanted it earlier. So around 10 p.m.
Oh, I didn't realize it started that late.
Yeah. I didn't open until like 5 or 4. And then I would close at 2-ish, but I would let the line go. Like I would finish the line. Yeah. So we probably wouldn't close the windows until 3.
Wow. So you became nocturnal.
I was very nocturnal. Yeah.
Are you still that way? Are you still like a night person?
Oh no, I'm in bed by 9.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. You texted me early this morning and you were like, what time is this again? I'm going to make breakfast. So.
Yeah. No, I get up early and
you do.
Yeah. And I go to bed. My birthday's next week. So I'm 39. So I'm a little,
not 40 yet.
Cue sleepy Sarah is what I say.
Really? I would have pictured you. And so is that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there are nights old Sarah comes
old
Sarah. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, Nickel City, let's have more cocktails. Yeah.
But now most days,
like most weekdays, I'm in bed by 9:30.
I can relate to that. That's how I am.
Yeah, it's so nice.
I get up early. Yeah. In playing music, I was on a very nocturnal schedule. We would like leave the venue at 2 and drive and get into a hotel at like 3 or 4.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but now I'm like, I like going to bed early.
Yeah, it's funny how times have changed.
You changed. So success. You're like, people like what I'm doing.
And it was, yeah. So
were you liking it? Were you like, this is fun? I've kind of found my niche? Or?
Yeah. And obviously it was really hard learning how
What do you mean by that?
I had to buy a truck, learn how to back in a trailer, tow a trailer.
Yeah, doing a trailer is hard.
Yeah. Especially double axle. Like everything's opposite.
It wasn't a truck. It was literally you're towing a trailer.
I'm towing a trailer. Yeah.
So
I'm driving a truck, towing a trailer.
Okay.
No, I ended up buying
a truck
with savings. Yeah, I bought a truck, a little Nissan Titan.
Did you like practice backing up? Did you?
Yeah, I had to. Like, I had to learn how to do it. My dad taught me, and now I can back in a trailer in the tightest spot.
Can you parallel park it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I am like the best.
Did you hit anything?
Oh gosh, yeah, because it's really tall, so I would hit trees like limbs that would hit my vent hood or my water tank. And then one time I was driving and this guy's like honking at me and I was like, hey, like waving. And he was like,
You're thinking he's like a fan. He's like, taco heads, I love that.
Yeah. And he's like, your water tank is hanging off the side. I'm like, oh my God. So like I hit my water tank and it fell off and it's hanging by a thread. And oh my gosh. But yeah. So
you just climbed up there and like.
Yeah, so I go to Jimmy, and Jimmy he called me the sister he wished he never had. So funny. He would always fix all my stuff that I would break. But yeah, I mean, it's
a grind. So you're there working and making tacos and
yeah. So I ended up hiring a couple people from Eddie V's too. Like one of the servers was my right hand girl, tall, very voluptuous Mexican girl, real loud personality. And so like
you poached her from Eddie V's.
Yeah.
Like I know you're working at this really fancy, nice place.
But like, how about working at this taco trailer? Yeah. And so we had fun. Like people would come up and we all wore V-necks and it was a bunch of girls and like one big guy that I poached from Eddie V's as well, Johan. And so like we had fun. Like we had music playing. We had
I remember the music going.
Bullhorn, and we had this patio and music, and it was so much fun. And I got hit on all the time, so that was nice. So
That's a plus.
Like, people like I would go out and like go to the bar to use the restroom and like give someone a hug, and they was like, "Oh, you smell like bacon," and just like keep on holding me. But I met 2 of my boyfriends from there, but it was crazy. It was a crazy time.
And so you went from that. I don't want to say like you went from that to like now I have this empire. You have scaled really, really, really quickly.
Well, not really.
Maybe to like.
So I opened the trailer in 2010.
2010.
And then I got my second truck probably in 2013. And then I opened Tall Goods Montgomery in 2016. So 6 years in the trailer.
Okay. 6 years in the trailer.
Which is kind of a long time.
Yeah, that's a grind.
Did you hear that? That sounded a very Texan accent.
Long time.
Where did that come from? And I'm not even drinking yet.
This episode of Stories with Soul is sponsored in part by Power Biofarms. As we all strive to become better versions of ourselves, sometimes the effort to be more active and less stressed can leave you feeling more exhausted than ever before. From unwanted prescription side effects to injuries that won't fully heal, many Texans are left feeling frustrated and without hope or restoration. Power Biofarms provides high-quality, Texas-made CBD and cannabis wellness products without chemicals, solvents, or pricey prescriptions. It's all made right here in DFW, from seed to shelf, with the utmost care, quality, and transparency. I had the privilege of getting to work with Colt Power, the founder of Power Biofarms, earlier this year when 6th Avenue Storytelling got to help them unpack their language and dive into their brand, and it was crazy cool. Their story is impactful, and they're doing some beautiful things. They offer a wide variety of craft products, and yes, it's all 100% legal for adults and incredibly safe. Support this local and growing business by starting your order at powerbiofarms.com. That's POWERBIOPHARMS.com. This episode of Stories with Soul is brought to you by TCU Neely Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. They're ranked as one of the top entrepreneurship programs in the country, and they live by the Neely promise to unleash human potential with leadership at the core and innovation in our spirit. The Institute has recently launched the Horned Frog Investment Network, which leverages the expertise and experience of entrepreneurs, business leaders, and investment professionals. They source, evaluate, and invest in the next generation of innovators. Crazy cool. And as an entrepreneur myself, I know the importance of finding great help. It can truly make or break your business. Luckily, as Fort Worth entrepreneurs, we have access to some of the top up-and-coming minds in the nation. If you're a business looking for talented students and interns, visit the Neely School of Business website to learn more about the Entrepreneurial Intern Scholars Program. They're actively looking for placements for their incredible students. They're doing amazing things, and it's exciting to see the next generation of entrepreneurs grow and flourish right here in our city. This episode is sponsored by the Fort Worth Business Press. As a Fort Worth entrepreneur and small business owner, the Business Press is my favorite source for news and updates about the entrepreneurial community in and around Fort Worth. I read their email newsletter literally every day. It's always full of insights and stories that really matter. Are you ready to be more connected? Sign up for their free newsletter at fortworthbusinesspress.com. But if you're like me and the newsletter just isn't enough, you can become an insider. With the code STORYTELLING10, all one word, you'll get a discount on the Insider membership. Insiders receive exclusive access to special content, 24 issues of the Business Press delivered to your door each year, and discounts on event registrations and more. Join me and the Fort Worth Business Press in staying up to date on the people, companies, and issues that matter most to Fort Worth. So 6 years of just grinding it out.
Yeah, 6 years.
And at what point was the idea of like, oh, this could be more, this could be?
So randomly, Thursday night, I had like kind of anxiety, and so I told my right hand girl Jenny, and I was like, hey, can y'all run the trailer tonight? Like, I'm just gonna take the night off. She's like, yeah, girl, I got you. So
anxiety because it
just
like
stress,
paying the bills, or just it's a lot to juggle, or I'm tired.
To juggle and tired, and I think we had some catering events coming up that weekend, and I just wanted to like take the night off. Mm-hmm. And so I had a catering van at the time, And so she picked up the catering van. And so I ended up staying home. And then the next morning I had to go pick up the van. So I called an Uber. This Uber shows up and I get a phone call. And it's like, hey, it's Jacob. Your Uber driver's here. So then I walking outside and I see this Jeep Grand Cherokee with a Duke alumni sticker and TC alumni sticker. And back then, this is like 2015, 2014. And Ubers weren't that nice of cars. So they didn't have Uber Black. It was like, you get what you get.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is strange. I've never had an Uber driver with TC or Duke alumni sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Go in and he's like, hey, you can sit in the front. And it's just like preppy white guy, polo hat backwards, J. Crew shorts with like little alligators on it. And he was like, hey, what's up? Very bubbly. And so I'm asking him like, hey, you're not like a normal Uber driver. Like, what's up? And he's like, well, I'm doing this for this nonprofit I'm running called Achieve in Africa. And he's giving me the spiel. And that's what they had to do to be on the board is to Uber, because then they get money and then they refer someone else and they get more money and it goes to the board of that nonprofit. Cool. So then he was like, oh, enough about me. Like, what about you? And I was like, and I don't like talking to myself or about myself, especially to strangers. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So is this hard right now?
This sometimes a little. So then he asked, so then I was like, oh, I own this food trailer in town. And he was like, oh, no way. Which one? And I was like, Taco Heads. And he slams on the brakes and he's like, oh my gosh, I love Taco Heads. And he did consulting at the time. So whenever he would come back from Canada, where he was at majority of the time, he would always pull over and go to Taco Heads because we were up late. So he would always come to Taco Heads and get tacos and then go on home. But so then he's like, this might be crazy. Gave me a book that his professor from Duke Business School wrote. And he's like, read this book. Here's my business card. Like, if you want to be partners, like, I want to help you grow, like, give me a call. So then after the weekend. What
was the book about?
I didn't read it. And I think we did another story and he was standing there next to me and I was like, someone asked the same question and he like hit me. He's like, you told me you read it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't do that.
That's awesome. So he was like, if you want to be partners, call me. Like,
yeah. He gave me his business card. And so then I called him the next, I guess that Monday and said, hey, let's get some coffee and talk. And so me and Jacob, like we hit it off. Like our personalities are so fun together. And again, like we just laugh and he's so absurd and makes me laugh. And we had such a good time, but it was a good time. Yeah. So we opened up Taco Heads Montgomery.
And so he was, and he's that kind of like a numbers, finance. How do you do this?
Yeah.
How do you?
So that's what was so attractive because he was just building Excel sheets, just like with his eyes closed.
And you're like the vision and the vibe and the charisma that people love that.
Yeah.
And you found someone who kind of like were you in? Like,
he was my yin to my yang.
Are you a numbers person now? Like, do you?
No, I mean, I am now like
You're
learning,
like forced to be.
Yes, forced to be, but I'm not just like woo. Yeah. And especially just he is very number savvy.
So you found this guy who like believes in you, loves the concept, and is like had you already had the idea of like I want a brick and mortar?
Yes, yeah. So even like working through the logo, our logo designer first was having everything with like a trailer, and I was like, no, like no wheels. I need to not. I don't want us to go through this hurdle of taking the trailer to a restaurant via branding and marketing. So we nixed everything that was trailer-ish.
And you found the spot on Montgomery.
So actually, we found a spot on South Main. So where Tinies is right now.
Oh, you had that first?
That was originally going to be Taco Heads.
Oh, wow.
So we signed that in 2015, early 2015. And then
you signed that lease in 2015?
Yeah.
And opened it in 2020?
No. So we signed that lease in 2015 for Taco Heads.
Okay.
So then the city was doing all that street construction on South Main.
Yeah.
And so my landlord, Lori, who is actually like one of my best friends now, I called her up and I was like, I don't think this is going to happen because the street is such a mess. It's a war zone down there.
Yeah,
and she was like,
it was a mess.
Yeah, I agree. Like, so, and I was like, well, we found another spot. And if you're cool, like we can just cancel this lease and like, maybe that could be number 2 or whatever. And she's like, yeah, like that spot. I told her about the spot. And this is before.
That's super cool. Versus you had a lease and then she let you out of the lease.
Yes. Yeah.
That's real. Like that's.
Because it's just time. Like she knew we had no idea on the street construction.
You had the vision of South Main.
Yes.
Early.
Well, she had the vision, and I like fell in love with it.
Because it was like a ghost town for forever.
Fair, yeah. And because she had her whole plan of what she wanted to do with that block, and she was amazing. And we met via Megan Henderson, and I catered for her, and then that's how we became friends and connected.
So got out of that lease and then found the Montgomery spot.
So found the Montgomery spot, and this is way before we fell in love with it because it was on Montgomery, and then we had this awesome view.
And did you know Dickies was coming?
We did not know.
So you just like stumbled
on this amazing
pot of gold.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, you're literally directly across the street from.
I could throw a margarita and it can hit the front door of Dickies Arena.
And that was just luck. There was no like.
It was my grandma praying on me for sure.
Nuh-uh. Wait, tell me about that. Tell me about your grandma a little bit.
Well,
can we take a little side detour?
Yeah, I mean, just take like a Catholic grandma who's just always praying nonstop of her grandkids. And I mean, no one ever wishes for, hey, can someone put a 14,000 seat arena directly across the street from my restaurant? Like
where there's no other restaurants and no other competition?
Yeah, there's no other restaurants on that street. And yeah, so it's just crazy. But
it was it like a barber shop or something? I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was a dentist or like
little bitty buildings.
It was 2 little buildings with this patio that went all the way down to Montgomery, and we raised it up. 97W were our architects, and so they did a really great job of figuring out how to utilize those 2 buildings. But yeah, and even like trying to we found that spot, and we had to like search who the owner was, and we found Jeffrey, and me and him hit it off, and like he's absolutely amazing. And so he was like, if you can make this a really cool Austin-y vibe, because he like looked on me on Facebook and knew I went to UT, and so he's like, I'm all about it. Like, be creative with this space, and so we did, and so yeah.
And did you have to did y'all like get a loan? Did you get investors? Did you get like?
So it was Jacob. So Jacob came in and was like, I'm going to be your business partner and help you open up the restaurant. So he came in, bought equity, and then that's how we got into the business.
And y'all opened this thing, and then was it a success? Like, did people start coming? Like,
yeah, I mean, it was.
And you had to elevate. You had to we went from a trailer to now a full thing. So I got to change the menu and.
Yeah, so we added on new menu items. We had to figure out the bar system. So we hired bar manager. And then we had to go through a lot of stuff with the city, with zoning and ordinance, and
which is not quite as helpful as
it was really hard.
Yeah, they're like the opposite.
Especially with zoning, and I love Arlington Heights Neighborhood Association, but it was really, really difficult because they just don't want change. And so we couldn't open up the cantina until May, and we opened up the restaurant side in January. So we were literally had ice chests of beers on the deck, and we just hoped no one would steal them. And then we had to go and pick up ice every day at QT or that Q Mart.
You didn't have like ice maker?
No, because we couldn't finish construction in the cantina until all the zoning was approved.
Okay.
So it was tough. Like it was so tough, but we got zoning approved, but I think it was like 4-3. It was a close one, but
wow.
Like city council meetings, and then we started construction and opened up the canteen in May.
Okay.
And then finally we had a full restaurant.
And people were coming and liked it. And
yeah, people were coming. It was a vibe. It was a party on the patio.
It was so different than anything in Fort Worth. It was very Austin-y. Like it had this.
Because it was unique. There was 2 buildings with a patio connecting it. So, and even now, like, where do you see that?
And great margaritas and
some tacos and breakfast all day.
Were you doing chips in the taco truck?
No.
And your chips are like my favorite chips ever.
Thank you.
They remind me of my grandma used to make her own chips. She had this little fryer, and we'd buy tortillas and she'd fry them.
Nice.
And they remind me of that. But I'm obsessed with chips. That's like my favorite.
The thickness of it.
Yeah, their thickness, and they're like real.
Yeah.
You didn't just buy them.
So, and a lot of it, like, yes, I didn't get into UT my freshman year, so I went to UT Pan Am, and at UT Pan Am, like, we would cross, it's like in Edinburgh, South Texas, so we would cross over into Progresso all the time.
Yeah.
And eat street tacos and chips and buy a little avocado. I say little, but they were massive. And then just make or just like chips and guacamole. And like, So all of those experiences I put into the trailer. So there was this one little taco stand we went to, and that's where they had the cabbage slaw, and I fell in love with it. And every time we'd go there, I'm like, I went straight to that taco stand to get tacos.
Okay.
And so that's where all of that came from.
And the salsa, like,
Salsa came from...
Did you know how to make that?
I did not. It came from Johan, who was the dishwasher at Eddie V's. He came up to me and he's like, I can cook. Like, I would want to come and work with you.
Johan sounds like a European guy.
Yeah. That was his name. That was his legal name.
Okay.
In quotation marks.
So Johan, the dishwasher, this European, I'm picturing.
He's from Zacatecas, Mexico.
Oh, he's from Mexico. Oh, okay. Okay. So that makes way more sense. I'm like,
yeah, but I remember my mom asking him where his name came from, and I can't remember, but yeah, it was Johan.
Oh, so he helped come up with that.
So he had that green recipe, and then also he helped us kind of like really nail the carnitas recipe.
Okay,
which was awesome.
And were you like in? I mean, I'm assuming you had a taco truck and you came like. Are you into cooking? Like, is that
no.
No.
No, I know I'm really into eating, and I know what I like, and I know good food. But my mom and Johan were the ones to like really come up with these recipes. And then once Jacob's really into cooking, so he came up with a couple recipes. And then our kitchen manager that we hired, she came up with a couple recipes as well. So, I'm just like, y'all do your thing. I'm really the visionary, I guess, to put this starting.
What are like Sarah Castillo's superpowers? Like, what do you feel like you're uniquely gifted in that is different from the way most people are wired?
I don't know. I mean, it's really about the experience for me in hospitality. And so like, again, like me being obsessed with Liz Lambert, and I've been following her since college.
Liz Lambert is the Austin hotelier. Is that the right word?
Yes. Yeah.
She started all these great,
the creator
hotels.
of Bunkhouse Hotel.
Bunkhouse, which is
Saint Cecilia, Hotel San Jose, Hotel Magdalena, St. Cristobal in Mexico.
All these, and we had Lou on the podcast, Liz is Lou's sister.
Yes,
and they've kind of changed the game for the boutique hotel experience in Texas. Kind of like created these like
absolutely 100% changed the game.
Beautiful. So you're a fan of hers? Huge
fan. And I mean, since I was in my 20s, like baby Sarah, like followed Liz around like.
Oh, really?
Like a puppy.
Okay.
I interviewed for them. I worked when I lived in New York.
You loved her spaces because you were in Austin.
Because I was in Austin. And my parents stayed at San Jose when I was in college. Okay. And so my when I lived in New York, I worked for the Hudson Hotel. And I'm going all over the place. But so I worked for the Hudson on 58th and 8th. And that was a really cool boutique, trendy hotel. And I thought I was going to be back to Austin. And so I was interviewing for Bunkhouse, and my sister was graduating from Austin at the time. So I went to Austin to interview and to see my sister's graduation. But then my best friend who I lived with in Aspen called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to move to Spain?" And I was like, "How can I cannot turn that down." So I moved to Mallorca, Spain, instead of working for Liz and
So you could have worked for them. So you were in hotels back in the day.
You were a
fan of Liz and just these concepts.
Yes, and fan of hotels back in the day.
In
like
general.
I would, so in New York, I would hang out at the Gramercy Park Hotel, the Hudson, just in the lobby, like just taking it all in, like these experiences, the smells, like all of that.
So going back full circle, Sarah's superpower, you like experiences. And
yes.
When you say experiences, like the vibe and the atmosphere.
The vibe, the atmosphere, the name, like how do you feel when you go into this space?
And you feel like you're wired to create that, or you're just like a student of that, or?
I think I'm a student of that for right now. I mean, obviously we're working on some projects, and I'm not the best at my game right now. So I just want to continue to grow and learn, and obviously traveling helps all of that. So just taking everything in.
So your favorite thing about the truck and then the brick and mortar was you get to make a vibe.
It made a vibe. And everyone keeps talking about how they, like whenever they come, their memories at Taco Heads, like coming to the trailer, regardless,
So are you picking out like paint colors and the lights and the...
Yeah, so we hung string lights and
the music.
The playlist.
There's always really good music. Like,
yes.
My wife, that's probably her favorite thing is when she goes to Tinies. She's like, I always love Sarah's playlist.
Yeah, so I put together the playlist.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just, and I think a lot of it's like, I hate going to a restaurant and then they're playing, like if it's an Italian restaurant, and I'm not naming names, but you go and it's like 70s, like soulful music, which I love, like Otis Redding and whatnot. Yeah. But I'm all like, this is also kind of an Italian restaurant, and I don't know. But anyways, I'm not.
So you're thinking about vibe.
Thinking about vibe.
So one of your superpowers is you think you're good at cultivating that.
Yes.
Okay. Own it. I like this is a what can you well, I have a couple of questions about that, but I also want to just push you on the question a little bit because I feel like you don't like, you're kind of self-effacing. But what else is like you feel like can you brag about yourself just a second? Like, what do you feel like you're really good at? Because you're behind all these really neat things that have changed the hospitality game. Like, I
think for a while, you just
said you don't like cooking, but you
I don't like cooking. I'm not great at managing people. I become too friendly, so I'm really good at just coming up with these concepts. Okay. Just to like toot my own horn, and come up with these names like Sidesaddle Saloon. Like I came up with that concept with a buddy of mine, and we were both kind of thinking of names. And it was Marcus Pasley, and we were sitting at the bar, and it was on Monday night, which is half-price wine. So all my friends were sitting at the bar, and we're kind of coming up with the names again. And he had a list, and then I was like, Sidesaddle Saloon. And he just crumbled his list, and he's like, threw it at my face, and he's like, I hate you.
Because women would sit sideways, is that?
Yeah, so because women had to wear dresses, so they would ride horses sideways. Yeah.
That's a great
back in the day. So, but yeah, I mean, like come up with these concepts, and mainly just like not necessarily. This is just concepts of what Fort Worth needs, and Fort Worth like deserves. I think.
Do you have like a future vision in your head of this is what Fort Worth should be like? Is this is what the city needs? Is this? Are you future thinking? Is that?
Not. No, I think it's more not what like Fort Worth should be like in these years or coming up years, but selfishly what I would want in a city if I visited this city. So, and again, it's just different experiences, and like having friends coming from LA or New York, and of course these are bigger cities, or even just small towns, like coming to Fort Worth and like, oh my gosh, these are amazing museums. And then you go after this huge, great experience you have in a museum. What are you going to do after that? Like go eat at a really great restaurant. So then this whole time, or you're going to Dickie's George Strait concert. What did you do before? You went to Taco Heads, and they had a 90s cover band, like country song player singing. And then you just remember that whole night. So I do like, I don't know. I want to create memories for people and experiences.
And you see the bigger picture of that. And
yeah. And so even with like Sidesaddle, it's just, again, things like is different. So for Fort Worth, like we were talking about Sidesaddle or the Mule Alley development, and Marcus was telling me all of these guy chefs that were going to be in there. And so he listed everyone, and they're all Fort Worth males. And so I said, I was like, what is this, the Cockyards or is it the Stockyards? Because right now it sounds like it's all guys right now. And he like started laughing. He was like, well, you should do something. And then
so you were like, yeah.
And I was like, well, I definitely don't want to do tacos down there right now. But so we were coming up with the concept, and it was a cowgirl cocktail bar.
So just at the bar, y'all are like, it went from it's all males to I'm going to do it to you came up with it. Like, did it happen that quickly?
Yes.
And then I
called Jessica Miller.
Because the M2G girls were leasing it.
Yeah, so they were leasing it. So I texted her that night, and we're like, what the hell? And she was like, you're actually on my list to call. And
did you have a business plan or anything? Or you're just like, I'm going to open up a concept?
So we told her about the concept, and she's like, put a vision board together, and you have to like pitch it to Majestic. So and she's like, and the woman who's like mainly in charge, like she's head of marketing, she is pro woman, like, so really like lean on your concept, because I think it's amazing. They need a cocktail bar down there. So put together this vision board that I did personally. Like I didn't have someone else make it, put this whole deck together, And then we pitched it, and she was like sitting there looking at me, California, like hard ass.
Yeah.
And just like, I loved it. And she's like, we want y'all here. We're like, okay.
Guess I'm opening up a bar now.
Yeah. So
and at that point, you had a couple like.
So I had
Tinies was in the works.
Tinies was I think Tinies was open.
Was it open? Okay.
Yeah.
So you had the confidence now, like, I can do this. I can also.
Yes. Yeah. And my business partner at Tinies is Glenn, who owns Pogue Mahone's, and he's been a big brother to me because I parked there after Seventh Haven closed my trailer. So Glenn came on board at Tinies to be the bar, like craft cocktail guy. So he also is business partner at Sidesaddle, where he created the cocktail list. So yeah.
And so bar experience. And Tinies was a killer vibe. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, that's crazy to me about you is I want to like this. The word was adventurous that kind of came in my mind because it'd be easy to just do. Taco Head's is successful. People love it. I could just rinse and repeat. And you did like more locations, but you also were like, I'm going to do this entirely different concept.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do this other entirely different concept that's a bar. And then.
Well, I just fell in love with these restaurant groups in New York and also MML or McGuire Mormon at the time in Austin. And in that they didn't put themselves in one box for like what their creativity. So they like branched out and did other concepts. And that's what I wanted to do. So, and then also
but it's way harder. It's way harder to like.
Yeah. It's so you're starting all over. You're starting from scratch. It's not just like, hey, wash, rinse, repeat, like you said.
Yeah.
You are. Yeah, you have to start.
And do you like the chaos and struggle of that?
I like it.
You
and
do?
I don't know why.
Is the starting your favorite thing? Is the starting like
yes, it's a lot of fun.
Creating the vibe.
Creating the vibe, like what are people going to experience, and then obviously R&D. Like I loved R&D, research and development.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and with Tinies, I was frustrated because people, especially in Texas, their perception of the Mexican culture is just Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not what it is. My mom does not make enchiladas every day. We didn't eat beans every day. Like, so that was their perception of just Mexican food, but that's not true Mexican food. And even we still get pushback from people now that like, oh, I couldn't get enchiladas. Like, this is not Mexican food.
Yeah.
Or what's this tuna tostada? I'm like, woman, that was inspiration from Conchamar in Mexico City. That is like absolutely. So it's just like, okay, like
you there's an education of the palate here in Fort Worth because that
yes, because it's not meat potatoes, it's not just fajitas, and
so the vision for Tinies was what
Mexico City driven,
and I wanted a little more upscale.
Yes,
even the idea of kind of upscale Mexican is a new thing. Didn't exist.
Yeah,
here, right?
Not at all here. No,
like
we were the first ones.
There's no upscale Mexican.
Yeah,
and you kind of introduced this new food forward, and the vibe is like.
Yeah, and Don Artemio, I think I'm saying it right, but he did an amazing job. And I love, like I was just there last Friday. I love Adrian, and I love what they're doing. And I think the more the merrier. Like, so we can really educate people on what good Mexican food is. And then, again, tequila in cocktails and as well. Because people think tequila is just your Jose Cuervo Gold and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
and at Tinies, you kind of had this like a lot, all these mezcals. And that's where you got into the world of. Were you already into tequila before that?
I was getting into it like with Taco Heads because they would invite me. Distillers would invite me because we would pump out a ton of tequila. So I went to Herradura's distillery, Jose Cuervo's, Maestro de Bell, which is Jose Cuervo's grandson, Patron. So I was traveling and
you were going
visiting
to
these distilleries, and that's when I fell in love with all of these distilleries.
Okay.
So,
can we talk about that at all?
Yeah.
What's next? What are you working on right now?
A spirit line, so Mexican or agave spirit line. So I am with two partners of mine. We are launching a tequila brand in November. So
you're launching your own tequila.
Yeah.
Like bottles that you buy at a store.
Bottles that you buy at a store. And you can have at restaurants.
And this is different partners?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So how this came about, so my friend Andrew De La Torre, he owned a Cuban bar in Fort Worth.
Oh, that Embargo.
Yeah, Embargo.
Was so cool.
Yes.
I love that bar.
So we've been friends, just kind of like, we would see hospitality friends. So not like really tight or anything, but so he was running and managing Pequeño, Mexico, the flea market on University and Jacksboro Highway.
He was running and managing that.
Yes. So, and Rafa Garza, who's one of my investors, he owned the land. So this was, I guess, right before COVID hit. Rafa told Andrew, like, you need to figure out what to do with this land, or we're going to have to sell it, and it's going to be a discount tire or a Hobby Lobby or something, just like...
Because all that land was kind of for sale for a while.
It was always been like in a pocket listing. And there's some floodplain issues that we had to work around. So he said, call Sarah up. Y'all need to like come up with an idea to figure out this, like pick Sarah's brain. So of course, anything Rafa asked me to do, like I will do it. So I met up with Andrew on a Saturday morning. We walked up and down the field and just kind of spitballing ideas. And he was just talking about like events and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to open up any more restaurants. Like I don't, because this is like around COVID time. So I was like defeated. Yeah. And I don't want to like deal with weddings or all that stuff. Like, can't deal with brides or crazy moms and stuff. So, and he was like, oh, well, I guess not necessarily getting frustrated with me, but just because I was just like saying, no, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, tequila's my end game. And he like looks at me and he was like, no way. And he was like, well, thinking like, hey, well, tequila market might be a little saturated. Like, have you ever heard of Sotol? And I said, I've heard about it. I haven't tasted it. Like, and he's like, well, let's go get some. So we went to 3 liquor stores, finally went to Goody Goody Liquor on Camp Bowie, got a bottle of Hacienda, got a styrofoam cup from, I guess, what's that, Mexican Inn right there? No. Is it Mexican Inn?
I think so.
Ninfas? I can't remember.
Mexican, it's not Ninfas.
Okay. Yeah, Mexican Inn. Got some styrofoam cups and ice and was drinking Sotol in the back of his truck, fully clothed. We had to like disclose that in a pitch one time because he said like in the back of my truck bed.
It was like a country song.
Yeah, and it sounded pretty weird, but and just kind of daydreaming about having this really cool Sotol distillery and then like launching a tequila line. So that was in end of 2018, 2019 sometime. And so we got some like renderings made. And I guess this was right after I came back from Patron.
Renderings made of doing a tequila, a distillery, is that what it's called?
Well, so no, because tequila has to be made in Mexico.
In Mexico.
So all of our juices are coming straight from Jalisco. Okay. Bottled, everything.
You have to make it there.
You have to grow the agaves, like distill it, age it, bottle it, and it has to come to the U.S. all packaged and ready.
So doing some sort of tequila Sotol.
And then a Sotol distillery here, or a Texas Sotol distillery here.
Okay.
Yeah. But also doing a boutique hotel.
Okay.
So again, my passion for a boutique hotel. Like I have a.
So hold on, so your investor's like, go meet this guy. He's got this land. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's like, what? And you're like, we should do a distillery and a boutique hotel. I've never done either of those things, but let's do it. And then you went and y'all are drinking Sotol out of a styrofoam cup and are like, let's do it.
Yeah. So we had this idea and I put it on the back burner because I was dealing with all the restaurants in COVID. Yeah. And Andrew would call me up.
I want to get into that here in a little bit, but.
Oh yeah. So Andrew would call me up and said, what's going on?
And you had said tequila's always been my end game. So you've been thinking about this?
I've been thinking about it.
You've been dreaming about this.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And mainly just because there's a lot of Americanized tequila out here. And again, people think of tequila as like Jose Cuervo Gold, and it's not that all. Like I do respect Jose Cuervo and what they've done, but there's other craft tequilas out there that are
yeah, it's like Coors Light. We were stuck with Coors Light and Bud Light for forever, and then we're like, craft beer is this thing.
Yeah.
And craft tequila, people got way into the craft whiskey world. But tequila is still, there's another level that people don't know about.
Yeah, and it's just really about education, and that I really want to like help people understand like, hey, there is a world out there of like really great tequilas that you can drink, and you don't think you're gonna like take your clothes off and dance on the bar. You're not gonna have a hangover. Yeah, like there's good stuff out there, and so that's what I wanted to help.
So you've been dreaming about this concept.
Yes.
Sorry, and then I interrupted the story. So then,
So then he understood that I was put this on the back burner. I was like, I just had to like figure out these restaurant stuff. Like, and he's like, okay, like I'm going to keep on calling you. Just say, don't forget about this concept. Like we have something. So then one day, this other guy called me who I went to high school with. And I thought we went to high school, but we didn't go to high school, but we all hung out in the same group.
In the same circle.
Yeah. But that's how Fort Worth is. But he called me up and was like, hey, do you have your own tequila? Like, get straight to the point. And I'm like, oh my God, he heard something. And then I was like, no, we'll have like barrels with Patron, Herradura. And he was like, no, like your own. And I was like, what are you up to, Steven? And I was like, are you trying to start your own tequila company? And he was like, yeah, actually, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, well, that's funny you brought that up because I'm actually working on this project and we're kind of needing someone like you that, kind of like the Jacob guy.
And is he kind of like a business plan, performer person?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And Andrew and I are very like visionaries and
here's the vibe and the experience.
Yeah. And so, and really just to like hurt us to concentrate and focus.
Yeah.
Because we're usually like squirrel and
restaurant, bar, tequila, hotel.
Yeah. So
which is your superpower, but also probably like your Achilles heel sometimes too.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so then we all met and we all got along and we were like, all right, let's do this. And so Steven just threw gas on the fire and went from 0 to 100 and put an offer on the land. We closed on the land. And
y'all bought the land?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
It's a lot of land.
Like a little over 12 acres.
Right smack dab on University. Like downstream from TCU and the museums and everything.
Stockyards,
downtown. Did you like go get investors? Did you go?
So we had an oh shit moment where we're like, all right, we have this land under contract.
You signed a contract.
Yes.
And you had to put money down to sign the contract.
Yes. And then so we hauled ass to Mexico, figured out our juices, our distillery, all of that, so we can put a business plan together.
Now we have to go figure out how to make tequila.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then Did
you have any idea how to do that?
We had a little bit of an idea. Yes. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of distilleries in Mexico, but they private make your own tequila for you. So in wineries.
Yeah. Okay.
We just had to figure out who we wanted to make ours, and eventually down the road, we want to own our own distillery in Mexico.
So there's an idea. I have this idea for a tequila concept. So we're going to sign this contract. And now we got to figure out how to make it. So we're going to Mexico.
Yes.
And
we got to put this business plan together. So we were, again, with me working with the restaurants and doing all that stuff.
While I have all these other businesses and people and employees and restaurants to deal with.
Yes. We were pulling all-nighters. And we all had full-time jobs. So we were pulling all-nighters, putting this business plan together. And it was crazy. It was insane. And then we finally got the business plan. We're putting pitches together. We did several pitches. We're hitting the road. We're going to West Texas, East Texas. Like
pitches to investors.
Yeah.
Okay. Saying invest in this thing.
Yeah.
Had you done that before?
No, not like this.
Because you had to raise a lot of money, I'm assuming.
We did, yeah.
And did you raise it all?
Yes.
And what was that like? Was that like fun for you? Was it nerve-wracking for you? Do you like asking people for money?
It was great, like telling them about the pitch. And we got better and better each time. Like the first one we went to, we're like, whoa, that was rough. And then we really just got better. And obviously our passion shows. And we had samples of our spirits. And so like,
okay, so you went and made some.
Yeah. So
and it was good?
Once we finalized on our distillery, they had sent us samples and anytime we needed more.
And it's probably easier to ask for money when you're giving them tequila and they're like loosened up a little bit.
Yeah. But also it was a lot of like Fort Worth people that really bought into the vision. So with the hotel aspect of it, it's an experience. Like people can come here, have a tasting of our spirit and stay at this beautiful Mexican modern hotel.
So the concept is there's a distillery that you can do tours of and taste and buy, and then a hotel. Yes. Okay. So not only are you figuring out how to make tequila and how to make money off of tequila, you're figuring out how to make a hotel.
Correct. Well, so we knew we're not owners of the hotel. So, and we've never owned a hotel. I mean, we never operated a hotel and we don't plan to pretend like we do. Okay. So we were looking for a managing partner. And of course, the first person I thought of was Liz Lambert.
Because you were obsessed with all her
Because I'm obsessed with her. And so I emailed her, and at the time she said she couldn't do it, and she was like her capacity was full, and And so I totally understood. And
but were you bummed?
Yeah, I was like, damn it. But
in your mind, all along, you were like, it would be so cool if there was like a bunkhouse hotel.
So, yes, the separation of Liz Lambert and Bunkhouse happened, and so we are partnering with Bunkhouse.
She wound up getting bought out or selling out of that, and
yes, so she's part of MML now, and so Bunkhouse is still there and alive.
So that happened, then you pitched Bunkhouse, and they.
Yes, yeah, we had a connection through that, and had a pitch with Greg Marchbank, and then met with Tanaya and Lisa, who are the big mamas at Bunkhouse right now, and they love the.
So are you partners on the hotel? Or are you like the landlords on the hotel? Or they're your operators?
They're our operators, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is also crazy.
So we'll be the first DFW bunkhouse hotel. And we have that for like 5 years.
This is giant. Uh-huh. Like this is such a the magnitude, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Of going from like
a little trailer.
A trailer to this. And the crate, like, does it feel crazy to you?
It does. And that's the thing, is like this is a really big project. And for some reason, and me and my business partners talk about this all the time. Like, yes, it was hard to like go raise capital and put our vision onto paper and all of that, but it was also like so much fun. And then, not saying it was smooth, like it was relatively like easy, and I don't never want to say anything's easy, but I think, and I said easy one time to Jessica. Mm-hmm. So actually Jessica and Susan they're from MTG. They're our developing partners. So they're helping us develop that whole land. Yeah. Because we needed the best of the best, and they are the best in Fort Worth right now for commercial real estate.
Yeah. Creative.
Creative. Yeah. And so I said that to Jessica one time, or I don't know, maybe in season, we were on a trip in Mexico, and she was like, do not sell yourself short. Like that was not easy. She's like, it might have been easy now, but it's easy because of all the hard work you put in the past to make it all come together. So
you get stressed out? Do you have like sleepless nights of like,
yeah. I mean, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, just like thinking but I work out and I sprint and run and just to get all my stress out, but you have to.
Yeah.
And then just have your time and listen to music. And
how are you doing all this at the same time?
It's a team effort. Like, I mean, the restaurants we have a general manager, managers, kitchen chefs. Like we have a great team.
And how many people do you employ?
Oh gosh, I think it's around it's over 100.
100 people.
It's probably 100.
And are you in the managing them, or is it just like I hire really great managers, or are you like how?
So we hire really great managers, but so from my business partners at Tinies and Sidesaddle, we have our weekly meetings. Mm-hmm. My managers at Taco Heads, we have our weekly meetings, and so then.
How did you learn how to do all that? Was there like a book or a class or a mentor? Or
I don't know. I mean, I guess just day by day, and obviously podcast and yes, I'm in it. And I think a lot of it where I could not step away and I guess me micromanaging wasn't great because I need to step away so I can think bigger and do what I'm really good at. Instead of me being in the dish pit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will jump in the dish pit.
And you have done the dish pit.
I've done the dish pit.
You've worn every hat. You've cooked tacos. You've done everything.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday, I was cooking tacos because it was Duran at Dickie's last night. And we got our butts kicked. And we're short staffed. And so I'm there on the expo. And then we get really our butts kicked. And then I jump on the line and I'm cooking tacos.
And that's when an owner can
I just do it.
Sometimes you got to do it all.
Sometimes you got to do it all.
But you also have the wisdom to, in order to scale and do things like this, you have to relinquish control on some level.
Yes.
But still have a lot of oversight.
Right.
Because part of, just to brag on you a little, I think one of the neat things, I was a part of a restaurant for a while, and it's way different now. We have operators who run it and know what they're doing, but we had no idea what we're doing. But at the time, but having good customer service and all of it is so hard. There's so it's so hard to do that.
Oh,
and one of my favorite things about Tinies, and it's very consistent. It's always really, really great service. It's hard to do that.
And it's difficult too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like our employees have their days. We're human. So, I mean, and that's what we tell them. Like, we get it. Like, we're human. Like, you're bound to like mess up. The thing is, like, if you mess up, how do you fix it? Like, if you tell your managers, like, we can go above and beyond and fix that mistake. Like, we get it. Like, we're not going to like spank you in the back. You can't spank people anymore. If you knew that. But they also said I was an HR disaster, which, but just jokingly, just jokingly. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just like really like being forgiving as an owner, and like, you have your bad days, but you just got to shake it off. Like, and just talking to so I don't know, just the management group. And there's so many great books out there and podcasts and tests.
Did you get into all that?
Yeah.
Like, can you talk about some of your favorite?
So we went to, back in the day, Jacob and I went to Zingerman's. I don't know if you've heard of them. They are...
Actually, maybe did Carrie Crow tell me about Zingerman's?
I think she did that. It's like an entrepreneur.
I think she told me about that.
But management, like it was a management, I guess. We were there for like 4 days in Michigan during the winter, and it was so cold. I was like mad at Jacob for bringing me there. I was like, next time we're going somewhere where it's hot and there's a beach. But yeah, I mean, we've done some seminars, and it's amazing, and it's very helpful. And I mean, it's.
Do you have any like philosophies or principles on leadership that like you subscribe to, or you say a lot, or helps you do what you do?
Yeah, I guess like, I don't know. There's, I guess, more for the hospitality, and we have our non-negotiables. So,
take me through those.
Just like not being too cool for school. I just hate when you're just too cool for school. Like, treat everybody like they're Sarah's grandma. So I don't know, but there's a lot of things like feedback is free.
Not being too cool for school.
Yeah, don't be too cool for school.
Feedback is free.
Yeah, be willing to receive it. Be willing to give it. But I don't know. There's a handful of them that we have. These
like you're sort of you're there. You call them your non-negotiables. Do you talk about these? Is it part of your training? Is it across all concepts?
Yeah. So those 10 non-negotiables are across all of them. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that we again just not. I mean, we're in the hospitality industry. That's what we do. Like, you are letting these people into your home. You need to treat them. You want them to come back and enjoy your home, give them an experience, a memory, and then take them on this fun ride. So, but yeah, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. It just, was there a point where you like discovered this is who I am? Like, so I've been watching Star Wars all summer with my Rosie, my oldest daughter. Mm-hmm. It's like, so I'm going to use a Star Wars analogy. I don't know if you like Star Wars or not.
I've seen it. I'm not like a big sci-fi.
I'm going to take you to a cheesy land, but it's almost like Luke Skywalker was this farmer, and then he like discovers he has the Force, and this like, it almost seems like you were just, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was studying American Studies. I had $25, and now I'm like have this empire I'm building. It's like you became a Jedi. Was there a point where you were like, whoa, this is like, where you sort of unleashed that, where it happened and you're like, this is what I'm made to do. I'm really good at this.
Yeah, I don't know when that was, but it was just some of these times I would come up with these ideas, and even like to my business partners, like I'll just pop out an idea for the restaurant and they'll look at me like, oh my God, like you just came up with that now? And I was like, yeah, and I'm not even drinking yet. So it's like, I don't know, but I just kind of like let my mind free and just kind of like, it just comes out there. And really, I think a lot of it is traveling. Like, I love to travel and explore and see the world in different ways. And
that's a part of your sort of process.
It's part of my process. Yeah. And then just taking everything in. So there's a lot of things that I took in. Like, living in New York was hard. Like, it was a beating. Like, when I think I was working like 3 jobs, but like waiting tables, a gym just so I can have a gym membership, and then also the Hudson. But just taking everything in and experiences, and like me not getting into UT Pan Am my freshman year and going to South Texas and tasting these tacos and like taking that in. So I don't know. I just think like the universe is just, I don't know, just kind of like let it go and you just follow it, like read these signs that are out there. But
There's like a free spirit kind of whimsy to you.
Yeah.
But also there's like some discipline. It sounds like you're also very disciplined.
I'm very disciplined, and I think that's...
Were you always very disciplined?
I was an athlete, so growing up in...
So what is your day? Take me through a day in the life of Sarah.
Well, I wake up...
At 4 something?
So yeah, sometimes I wake up at 4, send emails out. Then I'll go back to sleep and then wake up.
I do that too. I like have these things I think of and I need to do, and I'll like wake up at 4 and I send emails and I have to get out of my brain, or I can't go back to sleep.
And I need to get... I used to have a book and I just like write my ideas out, but usually now it's sad, but I get on my phone and send an email real quick.
Okay.
I work out.
Sometimes go back to sleep. Sometimes get up.
Sometimes I just get up. Work out, and then get my day started. So either I'm just in workout clothes all day, or I get ready.
And what's your go-to workout?
So I am a Orange Theory girl.
Oh, you are? Okay. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's so fun. And as this one time, I was at this really, really rough gym that I was obsessed with. It's called Metroflex. It was in the south side of Fort Worth, and it's like a gym where you think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would work out at, like chains and like cage ring fighting. Like it was amazing. I love that. And I think I might go back soon. But just trying to like run, work out, get your stress out or aggression or whatever. And just like listening to loud hardcore rap music. So that's like my time away. And then you hit the ground running. So I have my Tuesday meetings for Taco Heads and Stockyards Montgomery, and then I have Tinies meetings, Sidesaddle meetings, and then
on the same day or different days?
All different days.
Okay.
Then I have...
Is it hard to bounce between the two of them mentally?
No.
So you have meetings on different days for each
meetings for different days that are set meetings different days.
Did you have to learn how to like prioritize and control your schedule in that?
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who want your attention. Like, there's a problem here, there's a problem here, there's a problem.
Yeah, so it's hard too. And you obviously don't want one restaurant to feel neglected, another one. But we have obviously like great teams. And then Sidesaddle, as it's a bar with very minimal food, so it doesn't take too much of our time. But it still needs its TLC and all that stuff. So, and then we have our random Zoom calls with all of our branding people or marketing team for the whole tequila with Bunkhouse, with M2G, investor meetings. So it's our set meetings that I have during the week, and then everything else fills in between.
And then some days you may wind up doing expo because Duran Duran's in town.
Because Duran Duran was in town.
Wow.
And we got her.
Can you talk a little about just marketing? Like, you've also made great concepts that have these great vibes and experiences that people love it and people love the food and it's good. But then you also have like built cool brands, like the brand itself. Can you talk about just like things you've done or things you've learned or your philosophy on? Yeah.
I wish I could be better. So marketing wise, like, again, social media is big and that's pretty much our biggest platform. But I run it. And
you do it all?
I do it all.
No, you're posting on like Taco Head's Instagram?
Yeah.
What?
And I have other people. So Taco Heads, I have 2 other people that have access to it. Sidesaddle, I have one other person that has access to it. Tinies, I have one other person that has access to it. But
you're doing that every day?
So that's all me.
That takes up so much mental...
It does. And it's like...
Space.
Mental space and the creativity and like content. Like, what am I going to post today? And...
But that's also your voice. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Especially with Taco Heads, like, it's just so fun and witty, and it could be... Like, I was looking at the old social media at Taco Heads, and like when TCU was in... Or UT was in town playing TCU, our marquee sign said, "Sorry, TCU fans, Taco Mama went to UT. Hook 'em."
I remember that.
That was really fun. And it got like so many... It was like over 400 likes or something. But yeah, so I still run that. And then obviously we've reached out to different companies to run it and do marketing, but it's so expensive. And for what we've gone through during COVID, like right now it's just like you have to just do it your own. Or
but like your brands, they have this sort of similar.
Oh, for the branding look, the creativity part of it. Yeah, so we've reached out to so Hans Taplin, he's out of Dallas. He did the Taco Head's original branding. And then we've gone through like different revisions, and Chance Morgan has done a little touch up on it. And then for Tinies, we had this other group that reached out that I met at Taco Heads Dallas one time. And then Sidesaddle Saloon, which I love. This is my sorority sister. She made this by hand.
Oh, really? Also, you can't. Well, actually, for watching the video, you can see. But Sarah you have all like the concepts logos tattooed.
I do
On you, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. So I have Taco Mama for Taco Heads, the agaves for Tinies, and then the Sidesaddle Saloon Cowgirl, which I just got.
Oh, you did? That's new.
Yeah.
Right, and that little bicep right there kind of hurts.
Yeah, it's real sensitive. And then I'll get all the nom numbers on the tequila too. But yeah, so this one I was really very special to me because she was my my sorority sister, and she hand sketched it. And is she like a tattoo? It looks like old school American tattoo. Well, she's a graphic designer. Like she was advertising at UT and business school. Like she is a genius. And then she got her PhD at NYU for something. I mean, she's just absolutely amazing. And now she's in LA. But that's cool. The full circle of that. She designed. Yes. She designed that logo. She's cool.
Okay. So we've talked a lot like where you're going and how these things came to be, but can we also talk about like when the shit hits the fan and things go wrong, which like COVID, COVID, I'm like over talking about COVID. I'm like tired of it 2 years later. But like the restaurant industry got hit probably the hardest of like anybody. Yes. And you opened Tinies 1 week prior. Yeah. And we had no idea that was going on because our heads were like so into the restaurant. Like I didn't know what COVID was. And you've been working on that for like 3 years, right? Two years on it, on Tinies. Yeah, I mean, we signed the lease in 2017, but the building is extremely old, and so all this work of remodeling and all this stuff, and with this big launch. Yeah, we had all our inventory, like hired all this team, had money and training, like it was. So what happened? What'd you do? So, our business partners, we all got together and we're like, okay, like what are we gonna do? And we all came up with it together, and was like, we don't know what's happening, so let's just, and also reaching out to all of our Fort Worth restaurateurs, like, because this Fort Worth community is so special, and reaching out to like John Bonnell is amazing since everyone messages, but you know how like he came on and he told us his whole story. Yes, yeah, and so like that's really, I think being in Fort Worth is very at this time. It helped you get through it. Help us get through it, and like calling like Carrie from Mountain, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So, we all after like getting see what everyone's doing, we decided to close the doors, give away all our food to our employees, seal the bank account, and just like wait to see what's going on. That's got to be so hard. It was so hard. And so again, like letting go employees. For all concepts or just that concept? So for Tinies, Sidesaddle wasn't open yet. Okay. Taco Heads, we shut down for 2 weeks, and then we reopened to do to-goes, which Taco Heads works for to-goes. It does. Yeah. Tinies, not so much, because that was, again, a very high-end experience. Was this was the baby. This was the next thing. This was yeah. And like we had a great week. Did you have enough money to get through all that? Like, so we didn't get first round of PPP loans. We got second, but we did, like, we were very smart on our spending. Like, did not spend anything that wasn't needed, and I have really smart business partners. So we were all just like, all right, like we're going to hold on to dear life until like what happens. And then, so we reopened at 50% occupancy, and like a few months later. Yeah. A few months later. So I think that was in the summer. But, and did people come back in? Like, was it? Yeah. People came back in, and we started doing to-goes as well. And then the to-go liquor, whenever that happened, I guess it was like right before Cinco de Mayo, like we were slammed at Taco Heads. Like it was like, oh my gosh, to-go margaritas, and people just, I mean, it was so busy at Taco Heads. Like it was awesome. So Taco Heads did okay through it. Yes, yeah. So we're doing like big old 32 ounces of margaritas. And but yeah, so we had it again, the word pivot. Yeah. And so we just had to like pivot our asses off. But was there any moments where you're like, I want to hang my hat? Yes. So actually I have this scar on my thigh, and I was in the cantina just because I have to stay busy. So I was in the cantina, like organizing and cleaning while we were shut down. And I had a box of like Mexican Cokes that I got
the cardboard got soggy, and then they started all falling, and they all fell and shattered and like cut my leg. So I have this big old scar on my thigh, and it's from that. And I just like started crying, and I was just like, F this, like I'm out, like this sucks. But I was fine afterwards. You just got to cuss it out every once in a while, then you're good.
But you made it through it, and you're going bigger now.
Yeah. Then we opened up another restaurant, and we're doing construction, and so opened 2 right afterwards.
Was that planned?
Sidesaddle was planned. Yes.
Sidesaddle was planned. Then you're like, let's do another one in the stockyard. I'm ready for more.
Taco Heads was planned. No. Taco Heads was, we did it afterwards after COVID.
And has that done well?
Yeah. So it's still, Stockyards is very touristy area, so we're busy slammed on the weekends. Okay. And it's pretty slow during the weekdays.
It's very tourist
schedule, yeah. Okay. But as like more things are coming down there on the music venues and all that stuff, it's happening. So
well, I think it's been so cool to watch. It's been
thank you.
Really
it's been fun to do.
Yeah, it feels crazy to me as an outsider, and it feels like to me, it seems like it's happened very fast. But you're like, it's been 10 years of work.
And that's what somebody else is like, overnight success. And I'm like,
it seems,
hasn't been overnight.
It seems like it.
Because right now I'm about to push 40. So,
but it just went. But yeah, the magnitude of it. What advice would you give your younger self if you could go back?
Gosh, I don't know. Oh, huh.
If you could go back and like younger Sarah.
Don't give it all away.
Okay.
Probably.
What do you mean by that?
I'm very, I don't know, just kind of give it all away, as in sometimes I'm easy to be like, okay, your like operating side or something, or
relinquishing control, relinquishing your ideas, or letting it be changed.
Yes. So, and just kind of like, I think I trust a lot of people too easily. So I need to trust my gut more.
You undercutted yourself.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, and I had ideas, and I would let people kind of talk me out of these ideas, and I would come back around. I'm like, that's what we should have done.
Yeah.
But
you know your own brand better than anybody else.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I would tell little Sarah.
Okay, that's good. What about like a young up and comer who wants to get into the hospitality world?
So actually, it was funny because I'm really want to get into mentoring, and so I've been taking that step. Okay. I had a mentor Zoom 2 days ago, or a couple of days ago, with this girl, or last week, sorry, with this girl from San Diego, and who wants to get in the hospitality industry. And her teacher told her not to. This other teacher knows me, and so we had a Zoom call, and I think just to follow your passion. Like people are not always going to get you. So, and we're all not the same. We're not built the same. So this is, I don't want to say this, but you do you, like that's what makes the world a better place.
Chase it. You chased it. Not a lot of people have like chased it down.
I chased the crap out of it.
You have the scars to prove it.
I have the
on the leg.
I know how to work propane back trailers in. Yeah. Like it was hard work. Like being here now, like it was not easy. Like I think a ton of things that happened. Like we lost Taco Dallas during COVID, and it's tough, and you feel like a failure, but you just got to shake it off and then just get back on the saddle. Yeah. So put your big girl panties on
the side saddle.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, are you going to be done for a little bit? Like this is,
so
are you already dreaming? Are you in like Sarah dreaming land about the next thing? Or are you like, well, I got my hands full for a while.
Yeah. I have my hands full for a while. And I get approached on a bunch of stuff, and obviously you have to say no to a few things. And, I'm partnering with a friend on one development, and then besides the hotel and all that stuff. So it's in the south side. So it's Lori, my landlord,
like
at
a real estate
thing. Yeah.
But not a new concept for you.
Not a new concept for me. So as the developer side. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Add that to the resume now.
Yeah.
Why not?
So working on that. But that right now, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be 40.
Is there like, do you feel like you've made it?
Not yet. Only because
you got some stuff to prove with this.
Yeah, so I got to get the spirits out and get the hotel. I mean, the hotel won't be built until 2026.
That's a game. 2026. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a game changer for Fort Worth. Like that is. All of that is new. And I would say in Texas, there's all these like craft whiskey and craft distill. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Are there any Texas tequila brands?
So it's not actually Texas tequila. It's tequila that is owned, imported from Texas.
But are there like Texas people
there's
doing
there's a couple of them out there. Yeah, Dolce Vita, Socorro. There's a few.
Yeah. But not a lot. I feel like that's still a little bit like of an untapped. I'm excited for what you're doing because I feel like that's an untapped thing.
And I think a lot of it's like we're doing it because of the passion of tequila. Like you see all these celebrities coming out with tequila, and it drives me crazy. Honestly, like Kylie Jenner, like really.
Yeah, come on.
The Rock. And
although I love The Rock, I love him.
Is that your guilty pleasure?
I like bad movies.
Nice.
I love him. I would vote for him for president.
Nice.
Sidetrack. Sorry.
Yeah, but so Mark Wahlberg, like, come on, I don't know. It's just like the passion for the for the craft spirit, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful spirit, and it's really hard to be made. And the Ojimanoors in Mexico, like, they don't get paid enough, and it is a really tough spirit, but extremely beautiful. And I just want to help like push that and like the education. And again, with all the brands that I respect and I drink right now, like we're going to serve them at the hotel. They're going to be part of the tasting because we appreciate what they do and like how they create it and what they stand for. They're not going to, there's ways to modernize it and so you can produce more, but they don't do that because it's
an art.
It's an art. Yeah. So
what do you want to be remembered for? Like, what does legacy mean to you? Like, do you think about like what do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know. I mean, like being a girl from the south side of Fort Worth, Hispanic, like, and also like kind of getting into these arenas that are all male dominated, like it wasn't easy. So I don't know. Just kind of like paving the way, I guess, for Latinas and all, but I don't know. I guess.
You feel like you broke through barriers.
I did, yeah. I do feel that way, especially restaurants in Fort Worth and then now in the spirit industry, it's all pretty male dominated, and so we have a really cool, exciting distiller that's coming on board for our Texas Atoll, and she's female, Latina.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
Yeah, so she'll be the first Latina like distiller ever. So pretty exciting.
I just think it's gonna like I know it already exists, and I think there's gonna be even more of it. But sort of like Liz Lambert was this hero of yours that you looked up to and were inspired by, and I think it's cool. Like you're doing that for so many people across the board.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I mean, obviously, like so everything Liz did, and she just did it because she saw this cool building across the street while she was at the Continental Club, not knowing how that was gonna impact me. Like, and it's crazy. Yeah. But
well, it's really cool, and just to see, I don't know. I'm just have this image of my mind of like my freshman year at Pascal and meeting you, and just this like funny kind of free spirit, following her like person into like has built this giant machine and empire and these cool and just changed Fort Worth. So it's cool. It's cool to have been a spectator on it. It inspires me. You inspire me. So it's been fun.
Thanks, Jim. You inspire me, man.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Awesome.
It's cool.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm excited for what's next.
Me too.
Can't wait.
I get panic attacks every once in a while too. So
there will probably be more. All right. Well, thanks, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations, you made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Stories with Soul. If you enjoyed the interview and like what you heard, please help us out and share, subscribe, and like anywhere you listen to podcasts. When you share and subscribe, it is insanely helpful and allows us to keep producing new episodes. You can always join us directly in the studio by watching the video version on our website, 6thAveStorytelling.com. Stories with Soul is brought to you by 6th Ave Storytelling, an organic marketing company building standout brands on the foundation of story. You're obsessed with your business, and we want to make the world obsessed with it too. Thanks for listening.